Okay, so 6:47 on the 7th. I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose yesterday. I didn't do it on purpose today. I go in to check when I'm about to start, and 6:47. And I was like, oh, I think it's the 7th. And I look, yeah, it's the 7th. So, anyways, I'm in a different room, obviously, because now I'm sharing the other room with my sister. So I came down in my sister-in-law's office. So I don't know. I think everybody will probably stay asleep until I get done. But anyways, there's a few things to talk about, so hold on. One thing is I guess Mike Johnson just went in a press conference or something, and he told the deal is with Donald, and his ties to Jeffrey was because Donald was an informant. So he went in, just like what I had been saying. Like I had heard from lawyers. I heard some lawyers talking at a press conference a few years ago, and they said he's the one who came in, like, here, take all the information and stuff. So it makes total sense. Because, yeah, why would he, these people who want to sit there and say, oh, he's friends with him, and he's going to the island and stuff, like, he's the problem in our whole world, it's just that guy, is, why couldn't they realize or see that, just a second, I got lost. Oh, because he had banned him from Mar-a-Lago. It's like, well, if he's your chum, he's your buddy, and you're out there, sowing your oats with teenage girls with him, then why would you ban him from your place for talking to teenage girls? So it's like, but they don't ever want to hear that part. They don't want to hear that. They're like, oh, God. But anything else they hear that's bad is they believe that. It's the weirdest thing how biases work, but that's how they work. And right now, well, yesterday was a huge protest going against him in D.C. All these people marching and chanting in the streets. And then I guess it was anti him. And then the church bells start ringing. I was like, well, I knew the church was going to keep exposing itself somehow. I keep seeing people talking about, like, the misspending of money there. So people who go to those places are starting to be a lot more like, taking notice of, well, how's this preacher so rich? And where's this money going and stuff? So people are starting to look at it different. And then, the church shows an alliance with, everything is just going to keep exposing itself. Everything is about exposure, exposure, exposure. That's why you need to be aware of what you're doing. Do you want to be exposed? Which to me, being here around my family and stuff, it's exposing me to me, though, because it's just so weird because I've spent so much time by myself, but then the test comes in. You go around your family. It's like, how much shit talking are you going to do? Are you being judgmental? Are you being hateful? And it's such a fine line. It's such a fine line talking about your past and your experience as kids together, and to, I don't know, not be, I'm over the part of, like, my parents sucked. Yeah, I mean, they weren't, we had a hard childhood. I mean, most people that hear anything about our childhood are always just like, what? How can that be real? I was like, oh, well, it was. I've had so many people tell me, you should write a book about your childhood. It's just one of those really crazy childhoods. And a lot of people who come from those kind of childhoods end up being drug addicts and homeless and end up having a lot of problems. But us 4 siblings that grew up in that, I don't know, we were more motivated towards success. So we pushed ourselves into becoming better people, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. But but not to say that the people who can't are worse people or anything. It's like an inner dialogue. It's like an inner drive. It's something inside of you that pushes through. And for the people who don't have it, that doesn't mean they don't have it. There's a lot of different reasons, because you can be learning. Everything's about learning. So anything of being true to yourself, as long as you're being true to yourself, then then taking the lessons as they come, because that is how it works here. That's what this place is all about. So you just go and live the way you are meant to live, and then you take your lessons and grow from them. And that is your journey. So it's not like, oh, well, every person who's homeless or drug addicted or prostituting themselves or strippers or whatever, everybody that went downward from their experiences, that is not because they are failures. It's because their lessons have to do with where they go, and a lot of times it's how you bring yourself back. But there's lessons no matter where you go in life. No matter which direction you go, there's lessons. And so you can't do it wrong. It doesn't matter what you do, you can't do it wrong. And just, out of us four, we all just pushed to push ourselves out of it, to do stuff different. And but it's just weird when you get back around your siblings and you start talking about this stuff. Because then I do go to bed feeling like, God, am I just shit talking? Am I just being an asshole and stuff? But I mean, the stuff is real. It's like I'm not like I'm making it up, and I'm not just saying, oh, well, these people are assholes, even though there was a lot of assholes happening back then. It's like there's a lot of bullshit. Which yesterday, when we went and picked up my sister at the airport, so I went with my brother and my sister-in-law to the airport to pick up my sister. And so then on the way home, we had passed on the freeway roads that were familiar. So we decided to go and look for our old house. We went and saw 3 of our old houses. One of them, oh my gosh, it was so freaking cute how they had fixed it up. They all look different because it's been so long. So they all, are different colors, different trees, different stuff in the yard and everything. Like I went, the one that was so cute, oh my gosh, when we were pulling, I was like, oh my God, look at the house. It's so freaking cute. And it really stood out even in the neighborhood. And it's like, man, I didn't even notice it being so big and cute in the neighborhood back then. And we were all like, oh my God. We even sent a picture to my mom, and she's like, oh, I wouldn't have recognized it. Because it didn't look, it was cool. It was cute. And it was right at the end of the cul-de-sac where I had that bad experience where I got kidnapped by that guy. And so we went down there, and his house looked so different. Oh my God. Susan Storm's house looks so different. Everybody's house looks so different. But his used to have all these big trees. So when he came walking towards it, his house was like dark and gloomy back in these trees. And now all those trees are gone, and the house is white and sitting out there. It looks so different. It's just so weird when you go back. But anyways, that was fun. Because we did like a little tour, because our houses, there's 3 of them that weren't that far from each other, even though each time that we moved, I had to go to a different school. So, so we went and saw all of them. One of them had burned down, but it was where we lived when, it was the last house my parents lived in together. And it was when my dad was making the most money. So it was cool. Like when I went to that school, the kids thought I was the richest kid in school. And we had this cool house. It was the one where the one ghost guy lived. And he was a composer. And that was Mr. Geibel that lived in that house, that ghost. And that was my first experience I could remember living with a ghost. And he would walk around. He would just watch us a lot. And he would walk around, and you could hear him walking around. He would go in the kitchen a lot and make a lot of noise. If you went into, because he had a soundproof room where he would do his music and compose and stuff. And when you went in that room, it was like, oh, it was intense. It was like a lot of his energy in there. And it would get really scary. So we'd always be like, oh, get out of here. And what was I gonna say? There was something. Oh, but he would follow commands. I guess there was these people at my house one time. These boys They were not from high school. They were a little bit older. My friend, and she said, her house is haunted. And they're like, oh, yeah, right. And she's like, it is. And I was like, yeah, it is. And they're like, yeah, right. And I said, okay, watch. I said, ghost, turn on the lights or turn off the lights, whatever it was. And he did. It scared the shit out of them. So, so he would follow commands, but he was like the nice ghost. I felt like he just watched over us and stuff. And but I lived in haunted house after haunted house after haunted house, and they all have different energy. But even the worst that one could do, that you could sense how evil and angry this ghost guy was. It was so intense at that house because we had these vents that the air conditioning would come through or whatever, and they were in the ceiling, and you could just feel him. You couldn't stop looking at the vent. You knew he was watching you from the vent, which is weird, but it was like, I don't know if he was up at the ceiling by the vent. I don't know where he was, but you could just feel him watching you all the time. But he didn't like me. I don't know, or either he liked teenage girls too much and he had issues with them. I'm not sure, but that's where I learned about that they can come into your, like that astral space. They can come into that and fuck with you. And then he came and he was attacking me, and I was in my bed, and it was like that sleep paralysis, and I couldn't move, but I could feel him. It was like I could smell him. I could feel the sweat on him. I could feel it. And he got on top. I could feel the pressure of him sitting on top of me. And I could feel how angry he was. Like he wanted to do something to me. He wanted to kill me, hurt me, something. And once I could break free, it was the fucking most scary thing. I couldn't believe it. And then I broke free. But that's the extent of where, because people are always scared of ghosts and stuff. And that's the extent, to me, of how they can mess with you. They can get in your head, get in your dreams, meet you up in the astral. They can keep you like in sleep paralysis. Like they pull you into this portal of energy or something where they interact with you, and then everything, but it seems real as fuck. Just like in that show, I think it's called Evil, and I said that the stuff that they do in that show is accurate. How they show the spirits. I think in that when they refer to them as demons and stuff, but the demons or whatever, how they can be in this realm, and you go into your dream, and then people get into the dream, and then they think it's really happening because they'll make you feel like it's really happening. And that's a good point of the lucid dreaming, but that's how I think that they can get you trapped. They can convince you you're hurt. Like there's different things. So, but that's why you gotta keep strong in your mind and know. That's why I think it's important to even know the spiritual world, the spiritual realm that's around us, so you can figure out how to protect yourself. So you realize, like, if you go in a dream and this shit's happening, somebody's fucking with you. And lately, I've been feeling like that there's somebody fucking with me, but I feel like that there's a lot of somebody's fucking with us because of the, it's like, I would say, put it into a perspective of like, the party's ending, and the people throwing the party don't want you to leave. And so they're trying to keep you drawn in, keep you back, because once the party's over and everybody leaves, they got nothing to do. Everybody's gone. And they kind of just fizzle out and dry up and turn to dust. So they are trying to hold us into this realm that they feed off of the energy. So they're trying to, and to have the last big shebang, of intensity, which all this energy and intensity has been coming to the planet, but people are waking up and becoming more aware and stuff. So it's like, I don't know, I guess they could trap you. I can't say they can't, but but anyways, the universe, this is a universal action. Like, this is happening. Like, this is all happening. There's no, I don't know. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about with any of this shit. But more and more people are waking up and seeing. Like I saw this guy. Hold on a second. I'll drink it all before it gets too cold. But there's still another swig in there. But this guy all of a sudden realized, and so in Chicago, Donald had said, "Hey, we're going over there. We're gonna clean this place up like we did in D.C. We're getting rid of all these criminals and clean this place up." And the mayor and the governor and all that shit was like, "Stay away from here. He's evil. Keep him out of here. He's not coming in here and messing with our state and our cities." And so I guess apparently, because we gotta remember this is all a show. It was a big fat fucking show. And even governors and mayors and stuff, there's replacement characters to play out this big drama and stuff. And any of them that aren't the originals and they really are taking that stand, they're going down, down, down. So anyways, so he said, well, we're pulling funding, federal funding, we're pulling it. You're not getting any more money to stop crime. Like, you know how the DOGE was looking up all these different grants. So they've got all these grants always going around. So certain cities and stuff were getting anti-crime grant things. So they're in Chicago, apparently it's $800 million. They were doing shit to stop the crime. They give the police chief a raise, give the mayor a raise, it's all part of the laundry. It's all part of like, get us rich by creating these things and then put the pressure on the people by bringing in all these instigators that create crime so the people feel like the fear so that they're okay with bringing in the money, but the money's all being misspent. It's all just a big fucking show. And so Donald is showing us the show. He's lifting the curtain so we see behind the curtain. But so many people, they can't see past him. It's like, that's where your biases get you. Like, you gotta look past him and see past into the curtain, see what's going on behind the scenes. But they don't want to because they think he's lying and pretending and stuff. But it keeps being shown more and more and more. I mean, for Mike Johnson to come out and say, yeah, what Donald really was, he wasn't a part of the thing. He was an INFORMANT. So, which is a very different role. And it's one that, you would think you would be applauding. He was part of trying to take this motherfucker down for a long fucking time. So, hold on, let me finish this real quick. There's cats one in here with me. Everywhere I go to the door. Like, well, don't leave it open, but these, I shut this door so that it would, like, if people wouldn't hear me or whatever. Because mostly everybody's asleep. We stayed up really late last night, too. I've been getting no sleep while I've been here. And even when I'm trying to sleep, I can't sleep very good, which is just way out of thing. But then also then I keep replaying anything I say and being like, oh my God, am I being an idiot? Am I being an asshole? Am I being judgmental? Am I being true to myself? And it's kind of like this game with yourself of trying to see yourself and understand yourself, but not judge yourself and not belittle yourself and be real and be authentic and be like, well, this is how I feel. This is who I am. And so anyways, it's all this, this steering into balance to find yourself and not be hard on yourself and be true to yourself. Like, these are my true feelings. This is how I truly feel. And, and I'm not going to hide who I am. And then, but especially as somebody who's like going through healing, you can get yourself in this idea of like, oh, nothing bothers me. 707 on the 7th. It just came on their thing. I don't even know. Is it really 707? Oh yeah, because I started like at 6:47. Oh wow, that just popped up. 707 on the 7th. I love when the numbers line up. A lot of people don't care about it, but I notice it all the time. And numbers keep going into sync. They keep lining up. And I just saw this girl, and she said, because to me this is like a confirmation to me on, because I see people who give me little confirmations, but I just saw this one, so I'll say it. Is, so she said she used to be into astrology. She was, did readings from, like, there's people all around the world, she said, that would want readings from her because she really knew her shit on astrology. But then she started seeing, like, it was more like she was the fisherman and she was giving everybody fish, and so she wanted to teach people how to fish instead. She didn't want to be dependent, reliant on this astrology thing. And I don't know, it's kind of like, to me, like if I hear a tarot reading, if it's giving me confirmation, so if it's confirming to me what I know and feel, I'll listen. If it's just some random thing, then I don't sit there and think, oh, this message is for me, this is what my future is or something. But there's people who think that way. So they will hear something and that they think that's their thing to do, to go, and, you know, it's like backward to me. And so I think kind of like that's what she was kind of feeling like, an astrology. Like, I'm telling these people this stuff and then they're going in this way. But really what you got to do is learn how to tap into your own information and find, you know, there's so much more about this mind, body, spirit, and tapping into you and your path and finding your truth and finding yourself. And so she said that she started going more in that direction. And so she said now she spends like most of her day like in meditation. She said she'll spend like 12 hours meditating. And which reminds me of back in the, like at the time where we think of like the pyramids being, and where people were super spiritual, like Atlantis and stuff, they say that the people, because there was Atlantis and Lemuria, they were like two different kind of places, just like how now science is going against spirit. Like there's these two different philosophies to life. But science is really showing a lot about the lack of ethics, but also science is a direction of learning. I mean, we come from science experiments, so the, well, not every single one, but like the humanoid creatures of this place in the here and now are mostly science project thing. So it's not like, I mean, we've got so many people thinking, oh, well, we came from a bacteria, from guppies, from all sorts of stuff. But I go with an alignment to the Sumerian tablets. And so, and then there's been all these different periods of time and colonizers and different science. I mean, because we had the Yahtzees that doing, like, there's so much stuff. But science has a big part of this world that we exist in. And it's being shown being very unethical and stuff. So, but there still is like the same with the dark and the light, of it having some and finding a balance, not letting it go so far out and getting out of balance. So it's not like science is the demon and we got to get rid of all science. Just like your ego is the demon, you got to get rid of all your demons. It's like, no, you just got to find balance. You can't just take everything away. You have to find balance with it. Just like, yeah, me being isolated, taking everything away, yeah, you've got no problems. Then start introducing, especially in tense situations, talking about your childhood and stuff, then these other parts of you start coming out. It's like, oh, gosh. But I don't feel bitter and angry like when I was younger, I did. Like, I was fucking, I was like, just bullshit. And, but anyways, so, but back then, like in Atlantis or Lemuria, whatever, the one that was spiritual, which I always think about the pyramids and stuff at that period of time, but people got out of balance because they focused too much about spirituality. So they spent too much time meditating. So instead of being in the here and now and enjoying life and the experience that you were birthed into, they were focused on the spiritual world. It's like I said, I'm can easily go. Like I just can be, I'm going both worlds. Easy. I just bounce back and forth. And the one is a lot more of a you know, a place at peace. I've said a lot of times, like, I just like to go in my tent and go into meditation, not come out until it's all over. But but it gets life out of whack. So they went too deep into spirituality where they started missing out on life. So that is where, you know, it can go too far out this way, and you got to pull back and find more balance. You got to keep everything in balance. So I don't know about spending 12 hours, but you know, I mean, I spent time in Iceland. When you're going through the metamorphosis of change, when you're going through this exaggeration of becoming your more authentic self and shedding off this place, then you can, I think, spend a lot of time in a bubble of self to try and organize yourself, trying to understand yourself, trying to, you know, come to terms with things and stuff. So I don't think at this period of time that is too crazy, you know, that she's spending so much time in meditation, if that's her process. But as things progress, like you get into the age of Aquarius, what do you want to do? You want to sit all day and meditate, or you want to go out and experience, you know, what it is to be alive? Because that's what we got to get more into, this thing of like experiencing what it is to be alive and the fun things, because that's the gift of life. Not be like, well, I'm just going to sit and wish I was home and take myself home, and like it's like being at camp and then just sitting in your tent and writing letters to your mom and dad how homesick you are. So instead of going out and going in the canoe and with the other kids and go play this with the other kids and go do all these things, you're just sitting in a space of homesick and being sad. So that's kind of like, you know, when you just spend all your time in meditation, it's like, okay, that's where I find peace, that's where I'm home. And then, but I'm missing out on all these experiences. So that's, you know, a part of finding balance, which I know I have balance to find too. Because you know how resistant I was to even be going on any of these things. It was like, oh no, I'll just stay here in my little world with my dogs. And so, you know, it's a big thing going, which, you know, and then you build up all of this, like, oh my God, what's going to be? Am I going to be fighting with my brother, fighting with my sister? It's going to be intense. What's going to be going on? It's been great. It's been so fun. We've been having so much fun. So it's been excellent. My sister and I have been getting along great. And I hadn't seen her since my dad was dying when we came. So I hadn't seen her in, we were trying to figure out, I think my dad died around 2015. So I think I hadn't seen my sister in like 10 years. And so I don't know, I think we're more older and mature. Like we're not quite the same as we were when we were younger. Anyways, but it's been great. Even my brother. So on that thing about, I still haven't finished with that lady, the meditation lady. But there's things about with my brother that I'll talk about in a minute, but let me finish this meditation thing with this lady. So she said that now she spends all this time. So she stopped doing astrology because she just felt like, you know, this isn't the direction I'm supposed to go, which I could totally relate to, because when I was first becoming all this spiritual stuff, I mean, I was spiritual the whole time, but it opened up a whole new world in 2016 when I started having all of these different beings talking to me, because I had my set ones for my whole life, but then there was like this big flood of these other beings talking to me and stuff. And then I was meeting these people. I went and learned about Reiki. I went and learned about chakras. I went and learned about things I didn't know about. And I was always really into reincarnation stuff, and it had gone further with the they weren't just doing past life regressions. Now they were doing these QHHTs and really going deep into all this stuff. And so I had this in tarot. I was doing tarot, which I had done a tarot class a long time before, because when I was a nurse, I worked with this lady who was a Wicca witch, and she had asked me if I wanted to go do a tarot class. And I'm always like, yeah, I'll go do it with you. So I'm always like trying new things and stuff. So I went to this class. I was learning about tarot a long, long time ago. And then, but I didn't, you know, it was hard. I didn't really understand it all and stuff. So, but when I started going back into all this with the chakras, the Reiki and all that stuff, I started doing back with the tarot cards. Tarot things started popping up to me all the time. So I started really trying to understand more with the cards and stuff. And then I started getting into the QHHT. I started taking a class to become one of the people to do it to people. And I did some past life regressions on a bunch of people. And so I was going in that direction, but I kept being like, this isn't the direction I'm supposed to be going. This isn't there. And I knew I was supposed to be more talking. But I kind of felt like the shelter of a book. Like, I think I'll write a book, and I got a typewriter and all that. But then it was like kind of tedious, like, because my brain's going way faster. It's like, I need to just be able to talk. But I felt so insecure, like doing something like this was like, oh my God. And even when I tried it the first time, it took me like 2 years before I could start doing it. And then in that period of time, I also have my practice of being able to deal with people on Twitter, because I was insecure to be able to even deal with the the opposing and the hatred on social media. So I was like, look, man, I don't know. Maybe I'll just do the book. So it was really hard to figure. See, I think if I woke somebody up, I don't know I don't know if people can hear me in other rooms, you know. So, and there's a bedroom there, but then also the dogs and stuff could be making noise. I don't know. So anyways, but I have the door shut and trying to talk quiet. So anyways, then but I started seeing like I'm not supposed to go in the direction of doing the QHHTs. So I told the lady while I was dropping out of the class, so I could see what this lady was talking about. She's like, you know, she was doing astrology, like, you know, she's probably making money off of it and stuff, but she started feeling like I'm not supposed to be going in this direction. And so she started going into this other, and she started going into these meditations and stuff like that. And I don't know how she said something about like is more teaching the people how to fish or something. So I'm not sure what her thing is that she teaches or whatever. But she said that in her process, she's learned a lot more about reading her body. So being tuned in or tapped in to what's happening in the world through her body, which I can relate to that, because like I can feel when the energies come in, like I can't sleep, I can feel the ground vibrating, I can feel when the moon's cycling, like I can feel these weird things, these energies and stuff, which now at this point even I'm like, you know, I don't even know what's going on with the moon and the sun and all that stuff, because it's like being in the Truman Show. Well, somebody else is in charge of this shit they're doing. It's all a bunch of fucking weird shit. It's all fucking made up. So but so she said that in this time right now that her body is telling her, and she said, I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming. There's about to be this big change. You know, I just was talking about this the other day. That's why I'm saying it as a confirmation. She said there's about to be this big change that's about to happen, and I can feel it coming. And she said, I don't know, it seems like it may be something with this. There's an eclipse or there's something with the moon or something coming. She said, I don't know for sure because I'm not into astrology and stuff anymore. But I keep seeing people talking about things online and stuff. And she said, I think that this has to do with this energy, and this energy is going to be, she said that there's going to be a lot of people who have been working on themselves, where it's going to be like the breakthrough, the break free, where the things flip and all of a sudden good things just start happening for all these people. It's like they finally broke through, because there's going to be enough that's going to flip, because there's been a lot of us pushing this energy into a direction and nothing is changing, and it can become really frustrating. That's the problem, where I see a lot of the spiritual people start melting down and stuff, like I'm doing all this shit and this shit just keeps going and going and going, and it can be really frustrating, but it's still coming. and I said the other day, I said there's gonna be this big flip where it's gonna be like all these people who've been pushing in this direction and towards being true to themselves, being real, being authentic, following their dreams, going in these certain directions. This thing is gonna push, and all of a sudden it's gonna seem like, man, everything's going good for them. Look at that. They're getting good stuff. Things are going good. And the other people who have been pushing on fear and division and stuff like that, that they're going to fall. Like, that's going to be like I said, there seems like people are building their way up, but really they're digging their own hole. And so it's like they're going to all of a sudden feel the impact. They're going to feel the misdirection of where they've been going. And then they're going to have to try and climb their way out of it. And that's where the other people who have been going in this certain direction are going to be the role models. And it's going to be the people that are like, I want what they've got. I want to go in this direction. I want to do better. I want to feel better. You know, they're going to see. This is what this whole thing is with these people who aren't awake yet. It's a big scene. It's a big part of their life journey. Just as we all had our things, and the waking up on this side of it was, you know, overcoming a lot of what people think about you, people thinking you're crazy, still being able to be true to yourself. So there's lessons on both sides, and these people's lessons are just as valid as our lessons. So they are going to have that. But anyways, so she was saying that, you know, she could just feel this coming. And I've seen so many different people saying it. So I keep on feeling like, see, it's getting closer and closer. I don't know if it's going to be this weekend. I don't know if it's going to be this when or how it's going to happen. But I know that this is what's going to happen. This energy is going to, however it is, there's an energy switch. There's something that switches. It tips. I don't know that it flips all the way over, but something starts tipping, and it starts opening the doors for people who have been going in a certain direction. So things will start getting better for a lot of people. But then when that starts getting better for a lot of people, that's when these other people, things are going to get harder. They're going to feel the impact of their division, their fears, their hate. It's going to come to the surface. So anyways, we're right on the brink of this. We're right on the precipice of change. And so I feel like it's exciting. But on that note, then with my brother, okay, so I had said that there may be a door opening. And so the door that's opening is, before I had even said, this light's going, let's see if I turn it more. It's kind of bugging me. So I had said, when the, I'd said, you know, maybe I want to move to Idaho. I don't know, because it's right, Spokane's right on the border of Washington State and Idaho. Well, Washington State is blue, and it is very resistant. It's like going to be like, you know, our governor, well, he's not coming here. We're not changing a thing. We need our money to go to this and that. You know, it's very it's fucking bullshit. And once you can see it, and once you can see through it, it fucking just pisses you off. And then when you try and tell people, and they're like, no, I hate, you know, it's like, so it's frustrating. And so I was like, maybe I'm just gonna move to Idaho. It's just right over the border. It's not that far still to see my kids and stuff. And it's red, and it's still on the map for you know, after the disasters happen, which the disasters are coming closer and closer too. That's another thing that's coming closer, which, you know, is nerve-wracking. So because it's going to be very traumatic. It's definitely going to be traumatic when there starts being tsunamis and earthquakes and volcanoes going off over here on the West Coast, which there's shit going on the East Coast too, but I'm on the West Coast, so so of course it's, you know, more on my mind what's going to happen over here. I didn't know it's going to be traumatic over there too. It's not like I'm like, oh, it's the worst for us. It's going to be bad for both. It's going to be bad for all different sides. And so it still is, when you have that awareness, it's like, well, where's the safe place? Where's the place that's going to have the least amount of damage done to it? And there's certain pockets because they're on the new map. It's like being shown it's on the new map. And it still, that doesn't mean there's not going to be any storms there, tornadoes. There's not going to be cities being wiped out and stuff by floods, tornadoes and stuff. But there still is certain land masses where it's like, okay, this is going to still be there. And Idaho is one. And so I had been thinking, well, I think I'll move to Idaho maybe. But it still is like I wasn't going to go banging on doors and stuff, because I still knew that doors are open when it's time for you to go somewhere. But you also have to put your because it is kind of like everything you're going to do is always when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. So, but to me, it definitely seems that when you are in one mindset, that those doors are opening. And then when you switch into the other, let's say you have to be like, go into another one, then the other ones, it's not like these certain doors will open to get you out of this other thing. It's like you have to make this jump in your mind to go into this other energy where the other doors open. The right door is open to you at the right time, but you have to be in that space to be there. And I know that sounds weird and twisty, but you know, it's you just have to understand it on a vibrational concept thing. So, because you're not doing it wrong when you're going through all of the bullshit, but you have to pull yourself out of the bullshit. Once you pull yourself out of the bullshit, different doors are going to open. And then plus you start really becoming aware of like not forcing doors open, not trying to force things into happening, because that's a part of more of the toxic way of living. He's trying to force things and make things happen and go this direction, go that direction. And when doors close, then we get all frustrated and upset and life's not fair and stuff like that. Instead of seeing like, oh, it's closing because I'm not supposed to go that direction. I'm supposed to go this direction. And to be more open in the flow of life by going, is the gates open? I'm going this way. Is this one open? I'm going this way. And following the path of the flow. Instead, we, you know, we're in our boat rowing. Well, I'm going that one. I'm going there. We'll go over there, and then we can't get up. We can't get there. It's like we get frustrated. Like God's against us. The world's against us. It's not fair. And then we start getting this victim. But we're not going the way we're supposed to be going. We're supposed to just let go and let the canoe take you where you're going. And when it hits shore, you get up off of it and you go up and you see what's there. And then you may be sent on another one and another one and another one. And doors will open where you're supposed to go through. And it's like, you know, I see it like a river in a damming system or something. And then when you're meant to go through that, it will open. If you're not meant to go through it, it's going to stay closed. And so you just keep yourself in frustration trying to bang doors open and make things happen and stuff. It's a lot more sane. You'll feel a lot more sane when you are not trying to force life, because you can't. There's nothing you can do. You can't. It's like you're going to battle fate and destiny. You have to go with the flow. And so anyways, when you get more into that kind of, but that takes healing and growing and understanding, you know, how the world works. And so then when you start going into the flow and waiting for doors to open, so, but I still put that out there. So see, that still seems to be a part of it to me, is like, but you're always going to do what you're going to do when you're going to do it. So it's like, it's naturally going to happen. You're going to naturally put your view in a certain direction. And sometimes it can be a lot of different directions. But I was, you know, I had been thinking, well, I think I'm going to Idaho. I think I'm going to Idaho. And then I think my mom had said one of the days, you know, about my brother. And she said, you know, because I'm trying to think when I knew these different things. Because he bought this 5 acres out on, it's on the Snake River. I was thinking it was the Salmon River, but it's on the Snake River. And so then it goes, it's in Idaho, and it's down more by Boise. And so he had bought property there, and they were going to build a house. And so then all of a sudden, it was like, well, they weren't building, but he's had this property a while now, and a long time. And so now he is building, or now he's not building a house there. He bought a house, and they are starting to move over to that one, and then at the end of the year they're putting their house in California on the market, and then they'll be full-time in Idaho. And so they're just in the process of bringing things over, but they've already bought their house. So they've got property over here, about 45 minutes away. They bought a house, so they've got a house over here. So And it's on the river, which is how I want to live. I want to be out rural. I want to be out on the river. That's, right before this even happened, like, because I had been going through my mind and looking around, like, what do I really, really want? How do I really want to live? And I was driving right past this part of the river at the time, and there's this house sitting back on the river, because I was like, man, being on the lake and stuff, like, some of those houses are cool and everything, but would I really want to live on the lake where your backyard is for everybody to look at, for everybody to watch you, because everybody's on the lake? So it's like, and then it bothers me that the lake and the hierarchy of, like, the people who have all the money have all the property, and the secondary lot is like this little lot, and everybody else gets to share it. It's like, that kind of shit just pisses me off. And so I was like, man, would I really want to live like this? And so anyways, I'd been thinking about that. I was thinking, no, I really would like to live I want to be more separate. I don't want to be right next to people. And that's another thing on the lake. You're like bumper to bumper. And I was like, I really want to live in property out like on a river, which a river is more clean water because it's flowing. The lake becomes stagnant, even though water flows into it and stuff. It's still, there's like a stagnation, and it grows bacteria and stuff. But the river is always running, and so it's cleaner water and stuff. And so I was thinking, I really want to live on the river, and I really want to live in acreage, and I really want to live more rural. I don't want to live around a bunch of people. And I think I've talked about that to my mom and stuff. But anyway, so one of the days she's like, well, you ought to ask my brother if he needs somebody out at his place. What was it? How did it go first? Like to, like the caretaker or something out on his property, because he's not going to be on his property anymore. And I was like, oh, yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, because I do want to live. I mean, that is like how I want to live. So, yeah, that'd be cool. And so she's like, well, you ought to ask him. I bet you he'd be like, yeah, cool. And so I said, so I talked to him this one day, and I said, if you want a caretaker or something out there at your property to watch, to be there, so, I would do it. He goes, are you serious? And I said, yeah, I'm fucking free flowing right now. Like, I've got no ties to, anything. I lost my house. There's nothing really holding me anywhere. And it's not very far from my grandkids. It's 5 hours from Yakima, and it's 6 hours from Spokane. So it's not like, that's where I was living over there was 6.5 hours, and the drive from Spokane down there to by Boise, it's all like more state highway. It's not going through Seattle and all these I'm pretty sure it's made mountains. I'm going to drive there next week when I finish the dog sitting. Well, not next week. Next week I'm dog sitting. After the next weekend, I'm going to drive down there before I drive home, and I'm going to see the route and stuff and see what the drive's like. So, so he had said, if I was serious and stuff, and I said, I'm got no ties. I can go. I'm pretty free agent at this point. And so that day when we were talking, he was just showing me stuff at the property. He showed me like he's got 3 tractors. He's got all this stuff, like 3 tractors, this big giant fucking barn thing and stuff like that. And I think my mom told me he has an apartment, or I think he told me too. He has an apartment in the barn thing. And so I was like, I could stay there. And so anyways, we didn't really talk about it anymore. And so I just went about my time. And then, I don't know, I think he had said something about, I'm trying to find out, like, if I really, when you sit, like, and talking to my siblings and stuff, and you start hearing stories back, I was pretty goofy. I was pretty flaky. My brother's like, I was somebody who was like, I'll do it. I'll go try that. I was like, And then when I was super young, I already said, like, it wasn't like a death wish, but I didn't care, what happened to me. It was like, if I die, I die. I wasn't ever scared of it. And so, the, um, so I was, out there. And then when I got the brain injury, and that's around when my dad was dying, and that's when they had all seen me last. I was real kooky then. I was still drinking, which alcohol and brain injury don't go well together. If you got a brain injury, just fucking get off the alcohol. It just fucks with you. So even though I wasn't like a big heavy drinker, it still is like you drink one drink and it's like you've had 20. It's like you're way out there. So so I did do some weird, stupid shit, and but anyway, so that's how, everybody's looking at me. Nobody has seen me since the new improved, I've shedded that skin and the new Kelly is coming out. And so nobody had seen this new revised version of me yet. And so, and I think I used to be more of an emotional basket case. I was a mess. So, anyways, but coming here, he was going to be around me, and he was going to, see like, okay, well, I'm going to just see if she's still kooky, because if she's kooky, do I really want her to come out and be there? And, but anyway, so yes, we've been spending the time together and stuff, and then yesterday we were talking about it and everything, and so, yeah, I'm going to go check it out. And my sister-in-law is super excited because we used to be close when we both lived in California. And then I moved to Washington State, so we didn't ever get to hardly see each other. And so now it's like back to like, oh, we can go do stuff. We can go shopping. We can go hang out and stuff. And so, it's very exciting. So so anyways, that's the door that I was talking about was like cracking open, but now it's open. And so now the plan is going to be I'm going to go dog sit next week. And then when that finishes, I'm going to drive down there because it's 5 hours. When I get there, my sister-in-law's was going to happen to be there the same weekend. See how things just start fitting together. She just was so happy she's going to be there because my brother, he had said, well, because I said, well, I'll go there after the dog sitting. And he said, oh, dang it, I don't have a key. Or I'll give you the key so you could go. He goes, but it's not going to be there. And then my sister-in-law was like, well, I'm going to be there these dates. And I said, that's the exact dates I was talking about. Those are the dates I was going. And she's like, oh, perfect. And so, so I'm going to go and meet her there. She's going to show me around and stuff. And so they're like, yeah, you have the apartment. And because I was like, I could bring a camper. And I was thinking, I could build a tiny house. I could build a house. I could get a house built and stuff. But that's why, because I was talking to him, it's like, why did you, because it's a lot of open around. Because the guy who has the 12 acres next to him, that he's not being able to keep that because whoever sold it to him didn't give him access to it. He has no way to get to it. And then my brother was going to sell him, or they were going to make some kind of change on property so he could access his, and my brother could get some area over here. But then the guy wouldn't talk to him or whatever. So that's all open. And then there's acreage over here, and those people haven't started building or anything yet. But my brother said that was the problem, is getting people to do the work and stuff. And he said there's so many hoops you have to jump through that you wouldn't even believe the amount of, I said, well, what about just to put like a shed out there, put a fence, anything. You got to go get it authorized and okayed by, he said, you'd think being rural that they wouldn't care. He said, it's so fucking ridiculous. And then he was getting fucked, like, even when he got his well put in, they put it on somebody else's property, and he, even though they messed up, he had to pay, have it dug up, and have a new one put in. Like, oh my God. So anyways, he had so much fuckery that went on in getting his building and getting things signed off and shit. He said it was so much fuckery that he just got so put off. He got so fucking pissed. He's like, I'm not fucking building another thing out there. So I don't know. Things are going to be switching around and stuff because, Donald is putting an end to their fuckery. It's fucking fuckery, making us jump through hoops and stuff. So he's putting an end to the bullshit. or we have to pay for this, get a permit for that, permit for this. I was like, fuck off, man. So, so I know those things are going to be changing, but there's still going to be like issues, I'm sure, with skilled labor, because that's the thing that's been going away. Everybody's going to fucking college to get a good piece of paper, and we're losing all this skilled labor. And then and then he also told me that it's also a right to work state or something like that. So somebody who watched a YouTube video how to build a house can market themselves as a contractor there. And he said it's just fuckery on that shit. So, but there's going to be changes. I know there's going to be changes. There's going to be more skilled people, but it's also going to be, you know, some of it's going to be harder to find. But anyways, I was thinking, because I was thinking about getting one of those house kits. They've got really cool log cabin kits. And then they even on some of them, they say they'll set you up with the people who will put it together for you. So I don't know. I think that there's options and things. So I feel like there is room for growth. Like, I don't sit there and think, well, I'm going to be living in his little apartment, which is still an upgrade from the living in the garage on the floor. I guess I get to bring my bed in there. Like, it's going to be, even though it's still like a little rudimentary, like it doesn't have a kitchen. And she said, you know, you have to use like all the things I've been using. I was like, well, I've been using those for a long time. I've decided, you know, do we really need kitchens? Like, all we need is these little stove things and stuff. I've changed my perspective, my priorities. So yeah, I don't need a big kitchen and all that stuff anymore. And then, so it's gonna be, and it's got heating, air conditioning, water. It's got a nice big bathroom. It's my own bathroom, a washer and dryer. It's got all this stuff. And in we were talking about the winter, and he said, I don't think it has as near as much snow as Spokane, but he said, I think it gets pretty cold, and it can get pretty windy out on the river. But another really positive thing too, is I was kind of like, oh man, being by the river, bug, with Stella, because she wants in the water. He said, no, it's perfect. He said, it's real slow moving past his house. It's super slow, and he's like 1,000 feet across. He said the river's huge, and he said his dog goes in it all the time. He said it's super, super safe, and he said if you fish, you can get some good fish there too. But yeah, I mean, but I don't eat meat or anything. But if I suddenly decided, like, well, I've got to eat, I've got to get some food, and he said, but people have been moving up there, like he's been, you know, because he's a fireman. And this is a place, how he picked his place was about a whole shit ton of firemen were all going there to retire. And so they were all like, oh, everybody's going to Boise, everybody's going to Boise. So everybody's over in this area. So he knows a lot of people who are going and retiring and stuff. And so then they're going and they're starting to garden and stuff. And he said, they're just like, oh, it's the greatest thing. And he said, and he knows of somebody who they put in a big garden and they can't eat, like everybody's buying their stuff. And I said, see, that's what I want to do. Just grow my food and stuff. And he was talking to one of the girls who was just like, she said, it's just going crazy. And he said, well, what do you do? And she goes, I swear to God, you just plant, just grows. Like, she said, I'm not doing anything. It just keeps growing. And so I was like, see, that's what I want to get into. Just growing my food and living my day and not being in the middle of the city and all of the intensity and shit. And so, anyways, the things that you start wanting, and it starts going in this direction. And so this door is opening. And then, so as soon as I finish with the dog sitting, I'm going to drive down there, go see the place, see the route to get there, try and figure out, like, you know, if I could drive a smaller truck down there and take stuff. So I was even thinking, like, I could drive, because he's got a big trailer. He was like, well, once they get moved over there, that he could come and get me. But then I was like, well, then I have to stay for another year or another winter in the garage. I said, I think I would rather just go. And then they're like, well, do you have to get all your stuff right now? Which I don't, because I've got storage. Like, I wouldn't need to take all my paintings. I wouldn't need to take all my furniture, you know. I would probably want to take my clothes, because you never know what you want to wear, and I'd have a shit ton of clothes. But there's even if it won't fit in the apartment, all my clothes, I can make a dressing room outside of the apartment and have all my clothes there. And so, because right now I'm in the garage and I have little areas set up. So I was like, so I was thinking, well, I could take, go fill a small truck, like the smaller budget rental or Penske or whatever, and drive it down there. But I gotta see like what the road's like, if it's like big steep hills, and like I don't know how crazy it is. There's no fucking way I can drive one of those great big trucks myself. No fucking way. I mean, I don't want to sit there and say, oh, there's no way I could do that, because there's always ways you can do it, and then you tell yourself you can't, so you're the one stopping yourself. But I would say I really don't want to. I really don't want to drive a big giant truck myself over there. But he said that he would help me. But right now, he had just decided he needed to go back and finish the year out with his fireman stuff, because he said it puts too much stress on the house, the firehouse, with him not being. And he's a driver. He drives the truck, and the fire truck. And he said it puts too much stress on the firehouse with me not being there. And so he's going, because he has enough time that he was going to stay on sick leave until they moved. But then he's like, well, it's kind of being shitty, so he's going to go back. So he's going to be working the next few months, which could be intense if they start having these fucking big earthquakes and shit. Like, you just don't know what the fuck is going to happen. But he said, he would come and move my stuff, and he's got a big trailer and a big truck that he's been moving their stuff. So he said, I can come get your stuff, but he can't do it right now because he's got to be back at work. And so, so once I go see the thing and stuff, he may say, well, I've got this week off, I'll come and help you. And we'll see, I don't know, because I may just get a little truck and start going. But what I'm going to plan on doing is start, because September's going to be almost over. And then I've got the groomer thing too with her. And so, well, she's going to be so disappointed. She's going to be bummed, man. Because she really wanted me to just, I know what she wants is to apprentice somebody into being the groomer, and then have her clients start going to, you take over her clients so she can retire, and then maybe sell all her stuff, so it's kind of like, but she wouldn't be like greedy or something. She's not like that kind of person. Like I just want to get somebody in here to buy all my stuff. She's not like that. But to kind of like, so she doesn't have all this to do, and just kind of like roll through it, transition into you taking over the grooming. And she really wants to teach me how to do all that stuff. But but I know I'm going in a different direction. I know I'm not, if that's what I felt like I was supposed to be doing, but I don't. And so, but I'm gonna have to tell her. So I'm gonna have a few days of that left. As soon as I get back, that's one of the reasons I gotta be back on the 17th, because we've got appointments. And then the 19th appointments. And then the next week there's a couple. And then, she has me booked out through after the first of the year. So I'm gonna have to be like, well, I can't do all of those. So I'm thinking of in October, in between the appointments with her, is take a few days. And but see, then, because I would probably do it quick, because I would have my mom just watch the dogs, because I can't just load them in this truck. So I would just drive by myself and put stuff in the truck, drive it down there, unload it myself, and then drive the truck back, because I can't leave it there because I have no way to get home. And so then drive the truck back, which is a lot of gas and stuff and mileage, because you got to pay fucking mileage on these things and gas. So it would cost. But then I could start getting stuff there so that I could turn around and just drive the dogs and me down there. So I was thinking in October of being in Idaho at some point. So towards mid to end of October. So to be there before Halloween or anything. So anyways, that's going to be my plan of ascent. So we'll see how everything rolls out. But that's my plan, is to start as soon as I finish up with the dog sitting, go down there, check out the place, then go back and start making the plan. Tell her I'm leaving. I'm going to have to. I probably won't right away, because you have to have 30 days notice to the storage place too. And so I think I'll just plan on just paying the storage another couple months and keeping the stuff in there, and start moving stuff down there. And then whatever I have left, then my brother will come up and help me or something. I don't know. I'll just gotta, that's, I can't figure the whole thing out because you just don't know how things are gonna go. I mean, it could be a giant earthquake and they're like, fuck, we're leaving now. And, their house could be rocked and they can't even sell it anymore. And they're just, we're gathering our things and we're heading out because they've already got their place to go. And then, which even their daughter has a house that she bought over there, like in between the property and their other house. She has a house over there that she's not planning on moving to. She bought it a long time ago. And so she's just been renting it out. I was like, fuck, I could start renting her house. She's not going to be like, oh, you don't have good credit. You've got dogs, She wouldn't do that. So I could rent her house too. So anyways, you just don't know what it's going to go. But her house would be more in a neighborhood. And I really like the idea of putting something out because I could even get a camper and, have the apartment and then also have the camper. So I don't know. I just feel like this is the direction I'm going at this point. So that's the door that I said I'll know if it's going to open. I'll know more about it. So that's the opening I'm going through at this point. And so anyways, I feel excited about, something new, something different happening. And he was telling me about the little towns around there. And they sound bigger than the town I was from. Because I even said, I had to go 30 miles to go to the grocery store. And they're like, oh no, it's like 10 miles. And one of them's got like 4 freaking Walmarts. I was like, oh my God, that's bigger than the city that I was going in to go to shopping in. And so, I think where I'm going to be out at the lake is pretty rural, but it's pretty surrounded by lots of towns and cities and stuff. So it's not going to be like I'm out in the middle of nowhere in Idaho. But anyways, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to go be right out there on the river. And I'd been telling Stella, I'm going to move you to a bigger place. I'm telling you, there's going to be more place. She's going to be so excited. She is going to be so motherfucking excited to have all of this land to roam around on and the river right there. Oh my God. She's going to be walking out into that river every day. She'll walk out to there because I think he said we're about 200 feet. The barn where we're going to be is about 200 feet from the riverbank. And he said that, and there's foxes that live on the riverbank. There's mountain lions around, which is like, oh shit. But there's no bears. And Stella's bigger than mountain lion. I don't think mountain lions will be coming down there trying to mess with her. I'm going to have a smaller fenced area for sure. Like, I'm not going to just let Archie just go out and roam around, even Max, because they could both be killed by a mountain lion easy. Then he said the one neighbor shoots the foxes and kills them because he said it kills his chickens, which, see, I could get some chickens. I can start planting a garden. He's got fucking tractors. He's going to teach me how to drive the tractor and start making feel of, I don't know, it just seems like exciting. Seems like this whole new exciting thing, this new thing is opening up. So, and I have my satellite dish. So I've got my Starlink, so I'll just bring my Starlink out there, set it up, it's going to be way more open, I think. Well, the cord only lets you go so far, so it can still have the obstruction of his building, because it's not just out in the middle of nowhere. Everything else is out in the middle of nowhere, but there would still be the cord. So I'd have to get a much longer cord that I could go further out and have no obstructions. So anyways, but I got my own Starlink. So I'll still be able to do my downloading. It won't be like the ordeal when I got to my mom's was like, God dang, there's no way to fucking download. And I had to drive into town and sit in the parking lot and wait. So glad when somebody told me to check into Starlink. I was like, I didn't even know what it was. I never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it. And so, anyways, but now I have it. And now it's, and I got the one that's Nomad, so I can go wherever. And so I'll just move that out there, so I'll still be able to do my downloading. And it's going to be a whole new journey, a whole new thing happening. So, and it's so funny too, is because, I will, like, there's certain things that I can see, like, in the future, but I don't know how I get there. I don't know when I get there or any of that kind of stuff. And then sometimes you want to be there and you can't get there. And so you can get frustrated. And that's why you got to learn to just go with the flow, let things happen the way they happen. There's timing behind everything. You can't change the timing. even though timing is constantly moving this way, moving that way. Like to us, we're all over the place, but still, there's a set thing in your life. And so, so this, I didn't see this ever coming. And then, so now it's like this, but this was stuff that was in my heart, that I wanted to be by the river, to have a place, to have a farm, to not be right next to people, and an opportunity to, because I think, you know, if things start going into place and starts not being a problem with permits, I feel sure he would let me put a house out there, put a house up, because it's going to benefit. Probably, I think, I would think the goal would be eventually, because he's already got this big thing out there, he's already invested into it, he's put a lot of investment, it's for him and I just to share it. Like if I invest into it, and kind of that's the way it used to be back in time, where people just had property, and it was the family's property. So it was like, well, I invest into it, he invests into it, it's just like property that we can both, and then, you know, maybe possibly even if that guy starts selling that 12 acres, then spread that way. Maybe I'll buy that 12 acres, and then, you know, my brother and I would have 17 acres. Which, another thing he told me, because we've been all talking about all this different stuff, so we were talking about my cousin, and he was the cousin on my dad's side. So when we moved from Kansas, we didn't get to see those cousins anymore. My mom's family, her sister and her brother moved with her to Texas, and they had families there. So we were around those cousins. Those cousins were all younger than me. So my dad's family, those cousins were the same age as me. So the one cousin, him and I were the same age. And and my cousin that got killed on the bike, it was his little sister. And so, and then there's lots of stuff. There's lots of more traumatic things that happen. And but out of their family, there's just the two brothers left, and they don't really talk anymore. And the one that's my age, my brother said, yesterday, goes, yeah, he's just like you. He's the same as you. He's totally into his health, totally into natural. He's totally anti-government. He's totally anti-pharma. He's all this stuff. And he has a horse farm in Kansas. And he said he really wants to come out, you know, come out and visit. And he's a hunter, and he wants to go out and go hunting. And he said he was looking on Google Maps, and this is how sometimes the small world, because that side of the family, Kansas, the farmers and stuff were big hunters and stuff. My dad was a hunter and got my brothers in hunting, but they didn't stay doing it. And but that side of the family did. So he's still a hunter, and he was even a big hunter thing in Alaska and stuff. So I think he still holds the award for the biggest fish caught or something there. But anyway, so he's big into that lifestyle and stuff, and he has a horse farm and stuff. And my brother said that he said, you know, come out and we can go hunting and stuff. And he was looking at my brother's property from Google Maps, and he's like, you know what? I used to go hunting at your property all the years and years and years and years and years back. And I mean, what a small, like, what is the chances of that? And he knows it was him because there's an island right outside my brother's property. It's even called something island, their road or something. He's like, I used to hunt right there. So I was like, oh my God. So anyways, I'm super excited to meet up with my cousin, who's going to be coming out there, and I'm going to be coming out there. And he's even going to tell, my brother said, I'm going to tell him to call you because he's been asking about you. And you guys have so much to talk about because you're so much alike. And I was like, oh my gosh, people who are like me start coming into my life. So, so anyways, I'm super excited about that. And my brother said that he just had some colts or foals or whatever, some new baby horses, and he's got to start breaking them and preparing them for being ridden or whatever. And so my brother had wanted to go to Kansas and get to experience, you know, get to watch him do that. And so he said they talk every week. They talk all the time. So anyways, you know, to have my cousin re-enter back into my life and become back friendly with him, and we have so much in common and stuff. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's just like more doors opening. And maybe it will be just like simple little things like that, but those little simple things can change your whole life, change what's going on in your life and stuff. So, anyways, I just feel, I don't know, everything feels like, it's already feeling new and fresh. It's already feeling like, oh my gosh. And I'm super, super duper excited to be thinking like, oh my gosh, not to have to be in there in the garage for another winter. And they're saying, up north, it's going to be a really hard winter. They're saying that down south, there's going to be drought. It's going to be drought, which is going to lead to more problems in the spring and summer. But a lack of water, which is kind of weird, but they've been flooding every place already. But up north, it's supposed to be like, they didn't say like tons of snow, but I bet you there'll be tons of snow. Swear to God, when it's a bad winter, it's like, fuck. Snows, it goes halfway up your house, and it's like that for fucking months. And, but it's supposed to be Arctic cold. So, I don't know. But he's got heater and air conditioning and everything in that building. And so, you know, whatever. I'm going to be in a bed in an apartment, on the floor in a garage. So, it's an improvement. So, anyways, I'm super excited. So, we'll just see how it goes. That'll be the new adventure. So, over the next few weeks, then, you know, I'll be talking a lot about that, and, you know, making the plan and starting to go there and do stuff and everything. So, but eventually, my new adventure will be coming from that direction I'll be talking about. So, there'll be new things to talk about. But anyways, right now, this is the time of change, and just like that, it feels like, you know, change is happening, change is starting to occur. So things are starting to move and starting to happen. So anyways, I feel excited. It seemed like there was something else I was going to say about something going on in the world, but I can't think of it. I've been talking a long time already. So anyways, we can look at my hair, since I'm going to keep up with that, because I am taking my pumpkin seed oil and my B12 and my, the only thing I'm not taking right now is the zinc, but I don't know that that was making a big, huge difference. And I don't know that anything is, you know, for real. Like, I swear to God, some of these girls, they'll like pull out these fucking, you got hair, like, I don't know. I don't know. And I don't feel like that's less shedding. I feel like it's fucking more. I swear to God, where I start thinking, is these shampoos, are they just telling us like this is better for you, but it's really worse? Like, fuck. They're selling all this shit that's like, oh, naturals, everything's natural, everything's great. But really, it's fucking not doing good. Oh yeah, and today we're having more company. There's my friend from when I was 16. Like, we're still in touch. We've still, you know, done things together and stuff. And she's coming today to come see everybody. And then my cousin, my mom's sister, and one of her daughters is coming today. So we're gonna have more company today. So we have more things going on today. Yesterday was fun because all his kids were coming. We had a great big dinner. We went on the little, in the morning we'd gone on a little tour to go see the old houses. And then even, because I could remember people's houses. I could remember who lived there. I could remember their names. And then I could remember how we would get to school. So we drove down the road, and then we had to cross this bridge over the highway. And back when we were kids, it was just like this. You just walked up, and it was this bridge that was chain link kind of thing. And we just crossed over the highway, which was the 635 back then, was just like 3 lanes and 3 lanes. It was just this road. And I mean, it's just a highway. And we would just walk across it. And so I said, let's go walk across the bridge, which the bridge is totally different now. I couldn't believe how different it was. And bigger, it's not completely enclosed. It goes up and it's more open, but it's wider. And then it's got all this, like, we used to just walk up on it. Now it's got this, you go up this way, go up this way, go up this way, go up this way, and then go across it. I was like, Jesus. And then when we started going across, I was like, oh my God, how did I do this as a child? Because I got a horrible thing with heights. And as soon as we started getting up there, I was like, oh my God, I feel dizzy. This is so intense. It's like, how did I do this when I was a kid? And so we start going, we walked all the way over it. And but now it is like, I couldn't believe it. It's like this, the 635, so it's got these, then it's got the access roads, because in Dallas, you have all these like side highway roads. Like their system is weird as fuck. You just can't believe it's like spaghetti. And so you've got these two big access road things. So they're like a highway in themselves. Then you have the next lanes that are the highway. Then underneath, so then it goes down and there's another highway. So it's like this stack of highways. And then we're walking across. Oh my God, it was so intense. And all these cars going, you can feel it shaking. I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. And, but anyway, so we did that. And then came back. My sister-in-law took pictures of us on the bridge. So we saw crossing it when we were little kids. So anyways, just stuff like that was fun. But I think that's all I was gonna say about that. I don't know. I don't even know why I started telling that story. But anyways, let's look at this if you can see. Lighting is so weird. It's like I just like my little ring light. It doesn't even need any light anywhere. The light just comes on. And all these lights and everything. It just like those shadows. And everything just looks different when I'm looking at the thing. And it makes me like, oh my, it's like, I don't know. I sit there and go like, God, man, that looks weird. But anyways, I don't know if you can see. And then I don't know if these things are doing much to my skin, and I don't know if you can even see any of that. So I don't know. It's very freckly. So, but anyways, so I'm gonna probably tomorrow. I'm gonna be going home. I'm so excited to see the dogs. It's like you're torn. It's like you want to. That's why I want us to be able to start accessing portals more, be able to get places quicker, not to be so so tedious. And then the way they travel, we literally had to run to get onto they were calling last call on the way here. And we had to run to get in onto the plane. They were about to close the door. I was like, Jesus Christ. Waiting in the line to get the thing. It was so motherfucking 2 people. It's like 100 people out here, and they got 2 people checking us in, and taking bags and shit. And so we had to wait through all that fucking shit. Then we had to get TSA. It was the same fucking bullshit. And they were fucking bullshit. But there is good things on the TSA. Donald has been making changes. You don't take your shoes off. You don't have to take your liquids out anymore. She said you still can't bring, large liquids, but everything, they just look at it through the x-ray machine. So next they need to stop fucking x-raying us as we're going through that fucking bullshit. There's gonna be more and more of us being able to access things, but still there's so much control from the corporation in our travel. So anyways, I would appreciate the hover cars and portals and be able to just get around and go to where we want to go and see people quicker. So you could just come over and hang out and have dinner with people, and it doesn't seem like it's like the gap closes more, the distance between people, so that we can just, go over and see them for a little while, go see them for a little while. Not all this like, oh, well, I gotta go get an airplane, I gotta go get all this fucking tedious shit, man. Because it's all created. It's all a fucking part of the creation. It doesn't have to be that way. So the more it falls apart, the more we're going to be able to access better. But also, people are so resistant. People are just like, are kind of freaked out. They want science and technology, but then when you start telling them about what's really out there, it's like, no way. But yeah, it's way more advanced than what people have any clue about. So anyways, that's what I'm thinking about. And I'm gonna go make another cup of tea, go get something to eat. There's, all the grandkids had a slumber party last night, so I think they're starting to get up. But anyways, I will be here. I will still record in the morning. I'll still do this. And, because I got this little room now. And, but until then, don't forget that the best thing you can do is work on you. And learning how to love yourself is the gift. So learn how to love yourself, learn how to love everybody else, and learn how to have the day you want to have, because it's up to you. So anyways, but we'll talk about it again tomorrow. So talk to you later. Bye.